super excited because there's lots to share with you all. So I'm going to start by sharing this screen. Hopefully you can see it. What we're going to do today is we are going to walk through the various banners that exist at Iowa State. I ended up taking some screenshots, and so what I would like to do is just walk through some of these banners and talk a little bit about them, what's going on, what should our banners look like now, what are the campaigns that are out there. There's so much going right now, and so what I'd like to do is just kind of do just a run through. Perhaps a tiny bit of critique on some of these. I will try to highlight some of the good things and some of the not so good things, or perhaps a better way to look at it is how this style could benefit you. So we'll be able to do that as well. I think we are recording. I just want to make sure. Okay. All right. It's not quite in presenter mode, so I'm not sure if that matters to anybody, but there we go. So there's a couple campaigns going on. Actually, I would say there's 3 major campaigns going on right now at Iowa State. And each campaign has a different goal and has a different initiative. And so I'd like to explain what those are, and also where you can get these graphics and where you can get these assets that belong to the various campaigns that are going on. So one is the Innovate campaign, which is what you see on the screen right now. Essentially, it is Innovate at Iowa State. There is a word mark that has been created for this campaign, and the background for it has to do with the research at Iowa State. So it is a campaign dedicated to research interest in collaboration, what's going on in your units, what's going on in your departments, how are you actually what are you putting out into the world? What type of research is happening at Iowa State? You know, we have a lot going on in terms of COVID-19 right now. If you've been watching the news, you can see that Vet Med has really stepped up. They're getting to the point where folks could actually provide, send in test kits from home and that kind of thing. And so lots and lots of good things going on at Iowa State that are being put out into the world. That's what Innovate at Iowa State is all about. The other campaign is the Adventure campaign, and you may have seen several banners or different graphics that resemble this Adventure campaign. There's shapes and some splatter type things, like it looks like, gold and red that you can put in the background. We've got lines, we've got all sorts of things. There's a circle that resembles the zodiac at Iowa State that can be placed on your image or on your graphic to really kind of enhance it and add some dimension. So this campaign is really geared towards students. This is young, this is fresh, this is just out, this is what's trending now, okay? So if you're wanting to promote different activities for students, how to apply, getting information about your program, this is the campaign for you. This is what the Adventure at Iowa State campaign is all about. Then we have the Cyclones Care campaign. Now, this looks like, this particular banner looks like it's utilizing some of the graphics from Adventure, but we're going to dive in a little bit. I haven't gone very deep today into the Cyclones Care. I guess from my side of it, I had a developer that was like, what about Cyclones Care? And I was like, oh yeah. I'm going to show you where to go to get that, because right now you may need graphics. You may, for Cyclones Care, if you are coming back to the office, if you are trying to promote different wayfinding and 6 feet apart graphics, those are all available for you. And I think a lot of that, they could be signs and banners that are up in the building, physically printed and up in the building. I think that you could utilize some of those components as well for your banners to just really promote this initiative that we need to all be wearing a face covering, staying 6 feet apart, and like reminding folks of how we can stay safe. So I will point you in that direction as well. And then there are templates that I've created for you. So I would like to share those with you. You can download them. And the CALS and LAS web team plans on continuing to add to those templates and add to that information so that you'll be able to kind of always have maybe some new ideas. I'm very excited about this because the graphic designer in me is like, sweet. Why did I not do this before? I don't know. But, you know, if I have a few minutes every once in a while, I'll throw in a banner idea. And you can certainly use it to get you started. So the banner ideas that I'm sharing are meant to get you started. So let's see, innovate. Let's talk about some of these banners here. First of all, I'm trying to see if there's questions, and yeah, okay. Sorry, I just had to have the chat. Okay. So there are various sizes of banners. And so the banners that we're going to go through today are certainly, they're actually all going to be different sizes, depending on the program or the CMS system that you're using. So with extension, they're going to be a specific size that you're going to want to design them for. Also, that is true for the luggage platform. There's a specific size that's best used for banners for the most part. However, in the new platform that we've created, the banners can really be variant in size. It's just that they will be scaled proportionally, so they will show more real estate if they are larger and less if they are shorter. So with that, this is a great banner. This is nice. There's the official Iowa State logo here so that you can see, sorry, the word mark is what marketing refers to it as. On the left here, you can see it's the stacked version. So the stacked Iowa State University is quite popular, and that seems to be what is recommended in these particular campaigns. And it's great. Now, Innovated Iowa State, I'll show you later, can be used in various ways. You can actually have it so it looks like it bleeds off the side, or different components like that. Here's another image that was a large image on a website. And again, it's a little low res because I did a screenshot. Cool. I mean, the strong is really strong, and it is Cyclone strong. I think this is a nice mark. There's not a whole lot that I can see that's a problem here. I would ask that if you're going to put like gold on the cardinal color, we need to watch for that contrast. So you may need to lighten up that gold a little bit so that there's enough contrast for accessibility purposes. But other than that, I think, you know, it's kind of nice to think about imagery and banners, so to speak, perhaps in ways that you never thought of before. So where you have a banner, is it better to have a larger image and then some text to the right or to the left and utilize that space in that way? Talk to the CALS and LAS web team if you have questions about that, but we can certainly help you with that layout when you're designing. Let's just talk a little bit. I pull this image up a lot just to really talk about brand. When you look at this image, there is no question that it is Iowa State. And you don't even have to see the words Iowa State University to recognize that this is an Iowa State University branded piece because of the colors, the strategically placed like coffee cup that has the Iowa State on it, that kind of thing. But it's really about the red and the gold. You can see that the main color on that computer screen is gold. The main color on the mug is cardinal. So you've got these huge, like obvious, you know, branding colors happening. It looks nice. And for an image that's not a person, this is a nice image. I think one thing to remember is that people like people. So students want to see people. Your audience wants to see, they're more attracted to seeing folks in the picture. This is a great example of that. You have folks in the picture. In this particular banner, perhaps, you know, they're utilizing this image in the background kind of as text, I think. So this horticulture research station. But is there a way that maybe the text could be in the middle where these two students are sort of, or I don't even know if they're students, are framing this piece? So it looks a little disjointed to have the caption up on the left with this picture, but there may not have been the option to have it in the center, and then it may have covered this text. So I think perhaps with what they had to work with, this is pretty good. Not too bad, but just really watch those pictures, because when you look at the middle of this banner, I'm looking at a tire and the back end of a truck, and I'm not necessarily looking at the people, where as if you were able to, let's see, let's just do this real quick. You know, if I crop this picture, now that's a cool photo, right? Like that's a nice picture. And you've got a person that's highlighted. So just think about things like that. When we go to this next option, it looks like when I screen capped it, it had the title text on there. Sorry about that. But this is great. You know, this basically has a large, you know, text piece that's pointing towards a person. Sometimes we have to create banners for an award, for promoting a person in some regard, to a special story about them. And the best we have is them looking in a camera, trying, you know, like this person's probably, my guess is that this person was photoed in the middle of doing some kind of work, turned around and they took a photo, right? Like our faculty members are busy, people are busy. So I really think that it's fine when that happens. You know, we have to use what is available to us. So first of all, I'm going to say that. Second of all, it's always better to have a photo in action. So if you have an action shot, if this person is perhaps engaging with the machine that's behind him, and you're taking a shot maybe from an angle, that's going to be more engaging than, say, what's happening on the screen right now. But that's really minor. I mean, you know, in regards to this banner, for what I could say about it. This one, it captures my attention. It's fun, but it's also kind of super busy. And so I'm almost not sure where to look. So I think that it's important when you're creating a banner to kind of understand your concept. What is the most important thing that you're trying to promote in this particular banner? Can these components be brought together a little bit more so that my eye isn't so all over the place? Things like that, maybe. But overall, I think this is fine. Sorry, I hit something there. All right. Great picture again for not using people. So Iowa State has a bunch of pictures that look really neat of campus. So like of the MU and the Campanile and various buildings on campus that look like they were taken from, you know, an aerial shot. So perhaps a drone or something, some kind of aerial shot, which is way better than just trying to take, you know, a picture from an angle that people would be used to seeing. So that's engaging, and that's what makes this engaging. And that's how a building is engaging, because people are looking at it from a different perspective than they're used to looking at it. And so I think those are some things to consider if you're going to put buildings in banners. Oh gosh, sorry. Okay, so here again, I was super impressed with this website when I went to it to see that there were multiple banners that are using this adventure campaign, using it pretty well, that kind of thing. I think that the components that they chose to use here are nice, not bad. I can read it. There's certain text that's more highlighted than others. The name is the most important, and NSF grant, and so awesome. Not a bad deal. Nice picture of this professor. What I would recommend is that the assets that are used are the same assets in like 2 different places. So you have these horizontal bars, I guess, kind of a ladder graphic, and it's in both spots. And I would recommend that you choose something different, and I will walk you through what some of the other assets are here in a minute. But there's a round circle that's just kind of like a light yellow line and things like that. I would recommend just mixing it up a little bit. But other than that, this is a really nice banner. Here is an example of a banner that is kind of cool, because they're trying to show something that people don't normally know, maybe. So like at night, this building lights up and it's really cool. I would recommend putting some people in here, maybe making it a little bit more of a engaging photo by using the space to the right to have somebody there. But that, again, it's going to require some kind of staging and things like that, like a little bit, and inviting folks to come and take a picture after the sun has gone down. And right now, that's probably really hard to do. So they're doing the best they can with what they have. Oh, sorry, so touchy. This is so touchy. So here's an example that I wanted to show of essentially a content card that can kind of be used in almost instead of a banner, where there's some text off to the right, and then this is what I'm talking about with kind of that 2/3 size image. And it's simple. It's a very nice photo of the faculty member, and there's some more text at the bottom. Great, no problem. I would recommend maybe not using red and green. It looks a little Christmassy. You might want to choose a different color, and I would recommend making the text that's in the green maybe like medium or large as well. But other than that, pretty good. Here's a Cyclones Care banner. It's very simple. I think that the message here is quiet and serene, because that's what campus looks like right now. And there's nothing wrong with that. Or I guess I should say it doesn't look like that, because I don't think it's like, you know, we don't have leaves changing yet. But it's going to pretty soon, and it's the feeling that this picture is providing that's the reason that it's here. And that's the feeling that we get, is that I think we need to just kind of calm, you know, the idea is cyclones care, and I think calmness, not frantic. And so I believe that this is a nice concept for that image. Here's one that the last one here that I wanted to bring up. Not a bad concept, like awesome. There's a lot going on here, but how can that Innovate at Iowa State campaign be brought into this? Because this is all about research and things that are being done, and it's pretty great. Instead of, you know, these multiple candid shots of people, maybe there's one or two in action and you've got some Innovate at Iowa State going on. That could be really helpful for this, because especially with particular projects like this one, where there's, you know, if you put one person, you have to put them all, because that's kind of what makes sense for a lot of the research projects. You want to highlight all the people. Maybe that's done on the page, and maybe this is more of an engaging image about the research with Innovate logo on it, or sorry, word mark on it. But that's that. So are there any questions about the banners that I just went over before I jump into a little bit about some more specifics on the campaign that are going on? I'm going to go ahead and pull up the document for the campaign that I just had. Come on. Okay. I'm going to open both of these. All right. Share screen. Okay, so this is from within the Adventure Campaign Style Guide. So those of you that are unfamiliar with what a style guide is, a style guide basically is usually a document, like a PDF, that accompanies the graphics or the assets to the campaign, and it explains how to use them, kind of the what to do and what not to do, and then it also gives you the formatting for like the text and all the different options of the assets. So let's start kind of at the top so you can see like what's going on here. I don't want anybody to get sick, so just a second. All right. I'm not going to go through in heavy detail this entire book, okay? But I want to point it out to you, and I have linked to it on our resource page so that you can read it. And I do recommend reading it. They made it so that it's really nice, short text to read, and explains what's going on. So I will say that it is geared towards printed material, not necessarily web material, which is why I wanted to create some banner templates for you so that you can start to see how that can work together. But you're going to learn about where the edge should be for this type of stuff, like for printing. But when you're working with web, you don't have to worry about that. Here are all of your colors, and with web, you're interested in the hex color. So this EED 484 color or the RGB color. Those are the colors you're interested in for web. Then this is very typical. You're going to have kind of the fonts, what they look like, the different fonts from like styles from within that font family. So cool. We're going to skip past this. Let's go to example text. So you're going to be able to see some of the text in action. What does a heading look like? And give you a feel and a sense of how to use the typography. Here's some description of the different shapes and options for how to use those shapes. So what they're telling you is that you can use these shapes at any angle, 360 degrees. There's different color options for them that they're saying should be used. If you want to blend them, these are the different blend options. Don't worry about going too crazy, okay? You don't have to like do these fancy multiply things, all right? Like these are some basic shapes and they are available to you, and I recommend using them, and just less is more, you know, pick a couple, start implementing them, see how it goes, okay? All right. So this is the ring that I was talking about. So these assets are awesome because when you have a long banner, sometimes you just need something to break it up a little bit. And something like this circle, these lines, are very helpful in doing that. So just keep that in mind. When I first saw this zodiac ring, I was kind of like, what is this? What are these black dots, and why is this circle like randomly placed on these images that I'm seeing? Kind of neat is that it's actually conceptually created based on the zodiac. So very cool. And it does make sense when you're familiar, you know, as you get familiar with Iowa State, that this would be used. And so you can see that it's used in this printed piece. These printed pieces are super busy and kind of a lot going on. And I would recommend, like, I think there's kind of a time and place to be all in to this sort of thing. And in most cases for like a website banner and that kind of thing, you're going to want to just pick and choose a couple elements to enhance your banners and go from there. I don't have to go through all of these assets per se due to time, but you know, you've got some horizontal rules, you've got this diagram here. Now look at this asset. So you can see here that the orientation is not 360. Iowa State says, no, don't just turn it, you know, 35 degrees. Make sure that it goes the full 90 if you're going to rotate it. So things like that to pay attention to and to look at. The wavy thing. This is interesting. I started to read about where these arrow stripes came from. There is a conceptual background to this. There was a football jersey worn at the time of Jack Trice, and so I think this was on there, and that's sort of where it comes from, so kind of neat. And then you've got the clouds. So there's two options for clouds. There's this one and this one. I would use them somewhat sparingly, like kind of depending on your audience. This is the most important thing that I found in this book, this page right here. And it has all to do with photocopying. If you look at this, I love it because it makes perfect sense. It says, research has told us that the Gen Z audience generally responds more favorably to the cropped photo on the bottom. And why is that? Both photos take up the same amount of visual space. They both feature the same happy subject on a sunny day, and the cropped photo, by definition, even contains less information. The cropped photo, however, puts emphasis on the individual rather than the group and the place. Even cropped, we can see that the subject is not alone as she walks. We also start to notice things about her that make her an individual. A button on her backpack, a stud in her nose, a fitness tracker on her wrist, a pennant around her neck. Gen Z sees lots of images that look like the uncropped photo, so much so that they begin to tune them out and think they are staged like stock images. So that's important to know, right? That's a, you know, ISU marketing is doing a lot of research to figure out things like this. What is the current audience into? And so awesome info. And it's totally based on research, and I love this. So when you're adding photos to the site, you know, some of you might say, well, I don't want to leave this other person out, and they were in the photo and they know they were in the photo. It's like, okay, well, maybe there's another photo that you can, you know, crop the other girl and put her somewhere else. I mean, I think that that's awesome, because you could probably get a couple photos out of one there. And then there's some additional information about some layering and stuff that you can do. But for the most part, I wanted to give you a rundown of what these assets are that you can use with your photos. I see a lot of folks that just to add a banner, they really just try to add a single picture and crop it properly, and that's what they got. And so I just want to promote the fact that there are some of these little components available, like assets that you can use. All right. So now the third and final part of this presentation is going to be describing some of the examples that I've provided for you and where to find them. So I will share this link in the chat so you can kind of walk through it with me as we go. And I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So, haha, I'm logged in. Let me log out. Okay. So what we have here is a page that is really built for you. And what I've done is basically kind of, some of you know this, but I have a graphic design background, a degree actually from Iowa State. I haven't, you know, kind of moved in my career path towards project management and towards web specifically, but I wanted to share with you some templates that you could use to get started. I know that it's really hard sometimes to get started and to know how to even make something, right? And this way you can download the banner templates. They are in InDesign. And I'm going to tell you that is because of multiple reasons. Number one, InDesign is where the marketing department provided the assets. So they're in InDesign. That's how they're provided. It's also coming from a design standard. It's the right way to create them. It's the right tool to use to create the banners. And you're going to have the most clarity and you're going to have the most flexibility by doing that, by using InDesign. If you have an Iowa State Net ID, you have access to InDesign. So if you need to know more about that, we can help you with that. But essentially, that is what they're in. So we've provided 3 adventure options. So the first one, I guess I'll just talk about them in general. So in general, what I've done is created these so that you can utilize the captioning that's available in whatever platform you're using. So some of the platforms, these are caption examples from the new latest platform. But you saw in the examples I showed you that there are some different styles where the captioning is at the bottom right in a little bit different style. That's fine. That's what these are for. And why do that? Well, because of accessibility. Basically, if you have a caption that is in actual text, so it's readable by a screen reader or by some sort of assistive technology, then you're going to be able to, it's going to be so much more accessible for folks. Also, it's searchable by Google. It's searchable by your search engines. And so wherever you can, if you can make your text actual text instead of flattened on a graphic, the better. Okay? So there's some here. Now this one, for example, the percentages I put in here because it's kind of an example that the Adventure campaign has used, is these statistics within shapes. And so that actually is flattened. But remember that because it's flattened and it's part of that image, you can edit it in InDesign, by the way. You can change the stats in InDesign with this. But make sure your alt text states exactly what these are. So make sure your alt text says 95% employed or in a graduate program within 6 months, semicolon, 98, or I don't know how you do that, space, 98% internship experience prior to graduation. Make sure it says that in the alt text. So that's the caveat with this one. The nice part about InDesign is that you can place an image within a shape. So that's very easy to do. Here's an example where there's kind of the zodiac highlighting. Again, what we learned is that it's important to focus on like a particular person within a group. That's what this shot is doing. And then you have a caption and a link. I wanted to bring this example in because it's more of a subtle adventure, whereas the first three are sort of all in adventure theme, in my opinion, okay? You don't always need that. I think that it's important for the most part to create banners that relate to your audience, and perhaps it's just subtly adding some of these components, like in this image, the waves and the, I'll call it the Jack Trace arrow. And then the last two are innovate options. So there are options to use the Innovate at Iowa State campaign along with captions. So you can see that the captions are used. And in this bottom example, that Innovate at Iowa State is actually vertical instead of horizontal. And so you can use the text in that way, the graphic in that way in this campaign. And there is a campaign book for the Innovate as well. So all of this information, so if you go to the links here, this is where you're going to find your assets. So if you go to the Adventure campaign, you're going to see the page from marketing that has the download Adventure campaign assets, and you're going to be able to go and do that. When you click on the button, it's going to take you to the Office 365 place, and you can, what I do is just click download. So then you can just download, and you will get essentially, it's not going to show you. Let's see. Yeah, you have to download it. You're going to get the InDesign file and the word marks and all the things that you need. Same with the Innovate. So if you go to the Innovate page, you can download the Innovate assets, and you're going to be able to get those as well. And so here you might be able to see some because they're PNG files. So you can see that you can download all of them. So you can choose like to download one, or you can download all of them. Like just know in this system, you can, like if I click download right now, I'm going to download the entire PNG folder. If I go to screen and I click download up here, I'm going to download the entire folder within screen, which is going to include both PNG and SVG. So the further back you go, you can just, if you want to download the whole thing, just go here and hit download, then you'll have it. And you'll have it on your machine. Okay. Also the Cyclones Care. So if you go to the Cyclones Care link, you're going to see that they have social media and web graphics. And so those are housed within Cybox, and you can download these various items, which can be extremely helpful for you for whatever you need, wherever you are on campus. So that's that. And again, essentially this influencer campaign page is like your style guide, kind of. I think that, it's showing you how to use this information. And then there's, let's see, here we go. There's the official style guide. You've got a PDF of the style guide right here that shows you how to use all of the different components for the Cyclones Care campaign. All right. So I want you to have, just sometimes it's hard to know that all these things exist, and so they're all in one place for you here. What I've provided up on this page from us is essentially a link to a Cybox folder where you can download there's 3 different campaigns. Well, sorry, there's 2 different campaigns, but I separated the adventure into subtle and kind of the full. So when you download this, you're going to get a folder that has the InDesign file and all the links to the images that I happen to use, which come from the marketing photos. And I should put the link, I will put the link to that as well in the side of that banner page so that you can access those. And let me just see if I can open real quick. And I'll show you what it is that you actually get here. So here I am in InDesign, and you can see that these components are things that you can move around, and you could change the color. So you can change the color like to the Iowa, other Iowa State colors that are listed here pretty easily. There's the ring. So you can see that you can select this ring, and you can, yellow on yellow, you're not going to see it, but you can actually move that around. Here's some of those little, I don't know what you call it, the ladder thing. There's the squiggly line. So in these templates, I tried to give you some of these components so that you can just get rid of them. You can pull them off, or you can pull them on. You can change the color. You can change the image. This is actually an image from Iowa State. It's pretty great. They have some newer images up there now, and so you could use that. Here you can see that the image is placed within a circle. So if you do Command or Control D on your computer and highlight that circle, then you can choose a different image to go inside of it. And so you can put kind of whatever, whatever you want inside of those components. You can also move them around, change the shape, whatever it is that you would like to do. Here's the splash. I knew that we were going to have the caption in the lower right, so that's why the cloud is kind of in the background there. Same with this image. You can see here's 2 of those assets that, remember, they said you can only move 90 degrees. So there's two of them side by side, which makes more of a half circle arc, which is kind of nice. And so again, I knew that I was planning to have the caption in the lower left, so I just sort of wanted to put some attention there so that people could read it. This is also a shape that was provided, and you can see that it's kind of angled. It's angled down, and you know, your eye can kind of look at this shape. You're gonna go to this person for sure, and then you can go to the caption, and so it's a good flow, and that's why it was kind of done that way. But remember that we don't all want the same banner, so so we don't want everybody, you know, the goal is not to just be like, oh, I'm just going to swap out my picture here and then call it a day. I mean, you could, but I would encourage you to like change this up, because you know, we don't all want to have the same banners, and we certainly don't want to all have you know, you could use this mountain or rock climbing student, sure, because Iowa State considers these images to be used over and over. Like, that's the reason that they have them, is to kind of like, yes, that's part of the Iowa State campaign or whatever, but use them differently. Try to arrange it differently. So that's what my recommendation is for you when you start doing that. And then also in that SciBox folder, I've provided this, there's a cheat sheet. And so let's see. What I'd like to start doing is providing these as desktop backgrounds. So I thought that it would be kind of fun to, and I'll provide them at different sizes. So this is just one that you can use. I'm kind of in the middle of it, but I'll update it once I update it. That you'll be able to put on your background, so that it helps you remember, like, what are the sizes, you know, I was planning on putting, you can see that there's banner sizes here. Like, I could put, you know, 1180 by 346 or whatever extension sizes, and kind of put extension next to it, so like, you know, like that's the one you use. What are the various options for captions? So in the new system, we have the option for captions to be displayed in 5 different locations on the banner. So it's just nice to see that. And then also be reminded of the Innovate brand. So remember that you can use the Innovate brand, and that the stacked Iowa State is generally used for the Iowa State. So I'm hoping to provide more of these so that you can kind of put a backdrop on your desktop, and so you're not like looking for a sheet or whatever. Maybe you just kind of pull it up and use it when you're gonna do web stuff. So that's that. Alrighty, are there any other questions? That's pretty much what I have. I went for quite a while, so let's see. Okay, Extension County staff are not covered under the Adobe contract. Okay, all right. So that is basically all that, yeah. And you know, that's the hard thing with all of these assets, is that you kind of have to use, like, how does ISU marketing provide those, and what are my options? Now, the PNG files, awesome. You could use those, because you could pull them into any other kind of software that you use to create your banners. So that's good. I'm trying to think if there's, you know, we may be able to, Christy, I'm thinking about that. We may be able to pull in different like export those graphics out of InDesign as SVG files or as some kind of size of a file, a PNG that you could place on things that make it easier for folks. I'm not sure. Is there an online tutorial for InDesign? There are. Yes. Thank you. Christy, same page. So LinkedIn Learning. If you were familiar with lynda.com, LinkedIn Learning is the new lynda.com. And LinkedIn Learning is awesome. It's very, very good. It even has some tons of things to learn that aren't even program related. Like I've watched some sessions on project management or just leadership. It's a great, great place. Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for the links. Thank you for the information. So Extension provides an accessibility training for InDesign once you get familiar with InDesign. And then John Rierick put a link to, let's see, I'll go ahead and share my screen, to kind of the LinkedIn Learning, which is super. So this is where you can find all of the things. So there's LinkedIn Learning. If you're interested in other offerings, Learn at ISU, this is a great link for you because then you can get all of the things. But man, LinkedIn Learning is fun. Let's see. Yeah, so you can get in here and do a search for InDesign. 114 courses. So lots of options. They also have, I'm sure, other tools too. You know, I mean, there's a lot of different software in here. Alrighty. If there aren't any other questions, thank you, thank you, thank you. This was the first webinar with like these templates and things. So we're hoping to have, you know, the goal is to have more. And when you go back to that, you know, if there are more banners that are created, you have the link and you'll be able to go there. So if you get an email that says, hey, content editors, we've added a couple more banner templates, we'll give you that link and kind of let you know and remind you when those have been done. But hopefully that even just gives you some ideas for concepts or things even if you're using other tools along the way. So, all right. Have a super rest of the day, everybody. Enjoy your weekend. Thanks for coming today.